Oh, that's backed up.
Well, don't look at me. I just got.
Held high. My mom's a badass, and I'll never be embarrassed of her again. My mom and I were walking through the park when a woman with a child stepped in front of us and started screaming. She pointed at me. You're the father of this child. How dare you disappear on us? I had no idea what was going on. My mom grabbed my arm. Is this true? Do you know this woman? I put my hands up. I've never seen you before in my life. You have the wrong person. Her face got angrier. Don't lie. I was certain that wasn't my daughter, but why was she accusing me of being the father? Before I could ask, the woman pulled out papers from her bag, a birth certificate. Here's the proof. You signed the birth certificate yourself. My mom grabbed the papers. Are you seriously lying? This is your signature. I was shocked because I had no idea how this woman had my signature. I panicked. That's not real. I've never seen those documents before. The woman got closer. So you're going to lie in front of your own mother? I'm not lying. I've never even slept with a woman before. I still have my V card. My mom's face dropped. The little girl started crying. Daddy, why don't you love me? Why did you leave us? My heart was breaking because this child genuinely seemed to believe I was her father. My mom was stressed looking at the crying girl and started breathing faster. How could you abandon your child? That's when I noticed something. In the background, I saw a man standing behind a tree with a camera pointed at us. He was filming us, but before I could point it out, my mom grabbed her chest and collapsed to the ground. I dropped to the ground screaming and held my mom's hands while she was having a heart attack. I snapped out of it and pulled out my phone and called 911. Paramedics arrived and rushed her into the ambulance. I was crying, not knowing what would happen when I heard laughing behind me. I turned around and saw that both the woman and child were laughing. The man with the camera walked out from behind the tree. What was going on? The guy said, "Bro, relax. This was all a prank. I'm gonna title the video, 'Prank hit so hard it caused a heart attack, not clickbait.'" I couldn't process what I was hearing. I saw red and punched his camera so hard it shattered on the floor. They all stared at me in shock. Then I saw my mom walk out of the ambulance and come up to me. "Mom, didn't you just have a heart attack?" My mom just burst out laughing. "I didn't actually have a heart attack, son. I was in on the prank. I needed the money." I couldn't believe it. My mom was the mastermind behind all of this. Then the man pointed at the shattered camera. "Dude, I told you it was all a prank. Now you owe me $10,000. I heard the number and felt my heart skip a beat. I held my chest and collapsed while everyone ran towards me. Before I lost consciousness, I heard my mom wave the ambulance back. Wait, he's actually having a heart attack. I finally knocked out my boxing coach, and it ruined my life. I walked into a boxing gym for the first time and saw an old man sitting in the corner wrapping his hands. I asked if he could teach me how to fight. He looked at me and laughed. "Let's fold me up. Come back tomorrow. Maybe one day you'll beat me." I came back the next day, every day for months. He taught me footwork, defense, how to read my opponent. Then one day during sparring, I landed a clean hit on his jaw. His head snapped back. He touched his face and smiled. "You have talent, kid, but talent alone isn't enough." One day, I saw him staring at the trophies by the wall. He turned to me. "These trophies are my son's. He was a fighter. He died in the ring because I didn't train him well enough." I didn't know what to say. I hugged him, and we went back to the ring. The next week, he started training me differently. He taught me how to defend against illegal moves that kill people. His face was serious. "This right here can kill you. Never let anyone hit you here." I saw his wife standing in the doorway watching us. She was crying. I didn't understand why. Until one day, he sat me down and smiled. "One last round, kid. Let's see if you can beat me now." We got got in the ring. He threw a jab that split my lip, then a body shot that took my breath away. He wasn't my coach anymore. He was my opponent. I knew I had to give my all to beat him. I saw an opening and threw everything into one punch. My fist connected with his jaw. He hit the mat hard. I threw my hands up, feeling victorious. I did it! I finally beat you! It was the happiest moment of my life, but I wasn't ready for the next part. I put my hand out to help him up, but his eyes were closed, not moving. I dropped to my knees. Coach? He wasn't breathing. My heart sank. Did I kill him? I called an ambulance. At the hospital, I sat in the waiting room with his wife. She looked at me. You didn't kill him, son. His heart was failing. He knew he was dying, but continued to fight. I asked why. Our son died from an illegal move he never taught him to block. My husband saw our son in you and wanted to make sure that didn't happen to you. Tears started rolling down my face. Then the doctor came out with an update on his status. We stood up eagerly, but the doctor shook his head. I'm sorry, he didn't make it. I grabbed the fruit cup and went to stick my fork into the strawberry, but my sister Emily slapped it out of my hand. I want that fruit cup. I pointed to the 5 others in the fridge, but she grabbed it with both hands. No, I need this one. I yanked it back, and Emily immediately pulled out her phone, panicking. Look at how aesthetic my Instagram is. I want to post a picture on a walk eating a fruit cup, and that one has the perfect strawberry to kiwi ratio to color match my outfit. I looked at her like she had 5 heads. Well, this strawberry perfectly matches my taste buds. I put one in my mouth, and she instantly lunged at me.
Here's your cat's nail. When you were trimming before, you probably hurt them because you couldn't see the quick. But now, you'll never make that mistake again. It's basically a nail clipper with a built-in light, so you can actually see where the quick is. Just slide up until you can't see it anymore, then snip. I love this one because it has a little compartment that collects the trimmed nails, plus a...
I bolted out the back door holding the fruit cup over my head, but she tackled me and we both hit the dirt. I scrambled up and grabbed the fruit cup that had landed upright as she reached for it and ran into the bathroom. I locked the door and laughed. Time to enjoy my fruit cup, but then the handle started moving. My face dropped in horror as I realized Emily was lockpicking it. I opened the window that led onto our roof and figured I'd just enjoy my fruit cup while watching the sunset. Surely Emily wouldn't climb onto the roof, but as I got to the top, I saw her coming through the window. Her eyes were manic. I need my aesthetic Instagram post. I jumped down and grabbed a fruit cup from the fridge. Wait, ramen. Shut up. Walk. I had no idea who he was. The cashier stayed down, and something metal scraped against the tile. The man ignored him and focused back on me, pressing the knife deeper into my back until the tip cut my skin. Please, I said, keeping my voice low. Just tell me what you think I did. You don't remember her, do you, Dr. Hayes? He yanked my collar down and tapped the hospital ID hanging there. You cut her up on your table and you let her bleed out. Carol Jennings. Every name I'd ever read on a patient chart raced through my head. Carol Jennings. I'd seen her file that morning. My voice came out flat. Carol was your wife? Was. Then please listen to me, I said carefully. Carol never made it to my table. The knife paused against my back. She was gone when they wheeled her up. She passed in her sleep on the stretcher before I ever touched her. He stared at me. She was gone before? The knife lowered and his shoulders dropped, but that's when the cashier jerked up. The shotgun blast went off behind me, and the masked man's chest exploded outward. The cashier hadn't seen at me. I screamed in terror because my older brother told me the FBI watches everybody through laptop cameras. So when I noticed the green light glowing right as I clicked purchase, I knew I was finished. I committed credit card fraud, caught on camera by federal agents. I slammed the laptop shut, but it was too late. They already had my information, and the FBI was going to show up any minute. I needed to hide the evidence, so I stuffed Mom's credit card back in her purse and cleared the browser history. I peeked through the blinds and saw the mailman walking up to our porch, and I dove to the floor, certain he was an undercover agent scoping out the house. Then the Wi-Fi started buffering, and my stomach dropped because they were obviously monitoring my internet now. That's when I heard sirens wailing in the distance, getting louder. They were coming for me. My older brother walked in and found me hiding under the kitchen table, shaking. "What the hell is wrong with you?" he asked. I told him the FBI saw everything, and they were almost here. He just started laughing, thinking I was making a joke. The sirens kept getting closer, so I made a decision. I had to turn myself in before they kicked down our door. I grabbed the phone and called 911. I told the operator I committed credit card fraud and wanted to turn myself in before the FBI came. 10 minutes later, red and blue lights flashed through the window. 2 cop cars pulled up outside. My mom came running to the door. "What's going on? What happened?" The cop checked his notepad. "Someone called about credit card fraud. Do you have your card on you, ma'am?" My mom frantically scanned her bank statements. "Wait, what's V-Bucks?" I immediately broke down crying and confessed everything, that I used her credit card and the FBI had me on camera, so I called the cops to turn myself in. One of the officers bit back a smile. Son, how much did you spend? I sniffled. $4.99. My mom slammed the bank statement on the counter. Who told him the FBI watches through the camera? She turned to my brother, who suddenly wasn't laughing anymore, and he got his laptop taken away. I was chalking my cue at the pool table when my stepdad slammed his beer down and yelled across the garage. Hey kid, I'll buy you a brand new car if you can sink that 8 off 3 rails, but if you lose, I take your car for the month. I set my chalk down and walked across the garage. My mom grabbed my arm and stopped me. You don't have to do this, but I shrugged her off. Mom, I've made that shot 100 times. I walked past her and stopped in front of my stepdad. Say it again so everyone hears it. He grinned at his buddies and repeated it word for word. I shook his hand. You're on. I lined up the cue ball slow, making sure every guy at the table was watching. I extended my arm and hit the cue ball. It came off my stick clean and caught the first rail at exactly the angle I wanted. Then the second and third rail. It hit the 8 ball, which rolled soft across the table toward the corner pocket. I was already picking the car color in my head, but that's when my stepdad shoved his hip into the table. The 8 bounced off the line and drifted toward the rail instead. I didn't move. He laughed into his beer. The kid actually thought I'd buy him a car. My mom started to say something, my keys, and dropped them in his pocket. You're walking to school for the next month. Maybe that'll teach you how a real bet works. Then he chalked his own cue and started running balls just to drag it out. One of his buddies, this huge guy named Vince, started cracking up in the corner. My stepdad froze with the cue halfway back. Did I say something funny, Vince? Vince shook his head and pointed his beer past him at the table. My stepdad turned around slow. The 8 ball was sitting in the corner pocket. He walked over and stared down into the pocket. No, there's no way. Vince was wheezing now. You knocked it in yourself. Your own hip put it in. The whole garage caught on and lost it. He dug my keys out of his pocket and slid them on the counter. I picked them up and patted him on the back. When are we getting that new car? Maybe now you know how a real bet works. I walked into my uncle's diner, and the tray of plates in his hands fell to the floor and shattered. It took 12 years, but you made it home, kid. He grabbed my shoulders, eyes locked on my uniform. Your parents would be proud of you if they were still here. I wiped my face and told him I'd been dreaming about his pancakes the whole time. He sat me at the counter, and 12 years of dreaming arrived on a plate, same as I remembered. I cut a piece, brought it to my mouth, and closed my eyes. I bit down on air. I opened my eyes. My pancakes were on the floor, and a man was standing over them laughing. He sat back down, grinning at his wife. Look, honey, real American hero. Couldn't even hold on to his breakfast. His wife laughed harder while I gripped the counter. My uncle started over with a rag, but I shook my head. He kept going, gold flashing in his teeth. Gonna cry, soldier? Gonna call your mom? My jaw locked. A little girl 2 booths down had stopped coloring. He saw her watching and leaned across the aisle. What are you staring at, sweetheart? She slid out of the booth as my uncle called from the counter. Lily, honey, sit down. She walked right up to his table and looked him dead in the eye. You don't talk to people like that, mister. He laughed in her face and grabbed her wrist hard enough she yelped. I stood up. I came across the booth in one motion, and my elbow caught his jaw before he could let go. He hit the linoleum, and 3 teeth scattered, 2 of them gold. He screamed for someone to call the cops while my uncle pulled Lily into his chest. I sat back down as 2 officers came through the door. They saw the man on the floor, then my uniform, and snapped to attention so hard it cracked through the diner. Welcome home, Sergeant. Whole station was coming by this morning. Looks like we beat the crowd. The cop nodded at my uncle. What happened, Sal? My uncle nodded at Lily. He grabbed her wrist. The cop's eyes hardened. He grabbed Lily. He hauled the man up and walked him out, his wife trailing behind without a word. My uncle slid a fresh stack onto the counter. I closed my eyes and took the first bite, same as I remembered. I picked up my fork and looked over both shoulders, then took my first bite of real food after 25 years in prison. My eyes rolled back as I've never tasted anything so good, but then the man in a suit pointed at me like I was his personal entertainment. Why do you eat like an animal? Don't you have manners? He laughed loudly, but I just curled my arm around my plate. 25 years had taught me losing my freedom over a stranger isn't worth it, so I just imagined the omelet was him as I jabbed it with my fork. But then he brought his hand to my food. I turned my plate away and he sneered, "Are you protective of your slop?" But then something touched my table from behind. Years of stabbings during lunch made me spin before I could stop myself, and the waitress refilling my water glass jumped back startled. I immediately apologized and helped her wipe, but the man in a suit just slapped his knee. This is why some people don't belong in civilization. They should have kept you in whatever zoo you were in. My hands tightened around my fork, and I ordered a slice of chocolate cake. 25 years since I tasted something sweet, and when the first bite hit my tongue, my world stopped. For a second, I wasn't an ex-con. I was a happy, safe kid, eating my mom's chocolate cake and watching cartoons on Saturday. Tears started flowing before I even realized it, and that's when the man pounded the table with his fist. A grown man blubbering over a dessert. You're pathetic. I wonder what happens if it's taken from you. He touched my plate, and that's when I snapped and grabbed the butter knife. I jumped in front of a man with a knife with my bare hands and killed him. Do you want to see what happens when I'm the one holding the knife? His expression looked like he'd come face to face with death, and he looked at my prison tattoos. His teeth chattered, "I'm sorry," and I realized I smelled something. A dark stain was pooling in his pants. That's what I thought. I put the knife down and went back to enjoying my cake. The bell rung, and my brother threw the punch at his opponent, knocking him down and winning the fight. But as he was about to take the championship belt, he felt a knife dig into his ribs. His opponent's friends were so mad my brother won, they jumped into the cage and started stabbing him repeatedly. I tried to help, but I wasn't quick enough, and my brother bled out on the mat. In front of me, the attackers grabbed the belt and sprinted out the side exit before security could catch them. Police issued warrants for their arrest, but 6 months passed and authorities couldn't find them. I was told they likely fled the country. Yet despite this, the MMA organization published an article issuing them a $500 fine for stealing the championship belt. The attackers actually wired the money, but still never returned the belt. I was sizzling a burger at my food truck when I heard a large white truck park beside me. I stuck my head out and saw it was my brother, and instantly buried my head in my hands because I'd told him about this spot, and now he wanted to compete for it. He immediately stormed over, and before I could say anything, he slammed down a flyer on my counter. "There's a food festival next month that's being hosted here. The winner gets a $10,000 catering contract. Hope your social anxiety doesn't screw this one up for you, freak." I smiled because at that moment I decided I was going to make sure I won, no matter what. Yeah, me too. That night after I closed up, I propped my phone against the register, hit record, and tried to say, "Welcome to my truck. What can I get you?" I sounded like a hostage reading a ransom note, so I deleted it and recorded another one and another until midnight. The next morning, I was crouched under the counter watching my recording back when my brother leaned over. "What are you doing down there?" I locked my phone. "I just dropped a spatula. 2 weeks out, it started working." A regular ordered her "You need me to take your orders for you? I can actually talk." She didn't move, and for the first time in years, I felt hope. At night, I kept training. I started calling strangers on Omegle just to practice, and one of them laughed at my joke and said, "You should do salesman." I hung up grinning at my reflection in the dark screen. Then came competition day. My brother got up on stage and smiled like he already thought he won. Everyone watched as he told jokes, and even threw out free mini hamburgers to the crowd. As everyone cheered, he stared at me and mouthed, "Try not to have a panic attack." I grabbed the mic, and for a half second my brain went blank. Then I took a deep breath. I've had a food truck for 3 years, and I've been too scared to tell anyone why my food is good. My chef waved from the truck and started the grill until it lit up with a flame. The audience gasped as he threw steaks onto the stove. While it may seem like a simple recipe, I'm living out my grandmother's dream for me. I explained that I was always anxious growing up with no friends because my brother would bully me at school. But the one person who always believed in me was my grandma. And just as I finished talking, my chef put up a sign, "Free steaks for all. I hope all of you can eat and see how special she really was." When the votes came in, the announcer barely got my truck's name out before the crowd drowned him in cheers, steaks still in their hands. My brother stormed over while they handed me the contract. Since when can you talk?" I pulled his flyer off my counter and handed it back. "Since the night you gave me this. Thanks for the motivation, big bro." I was eating breakfast when the hospital called. "Your daughter has been in an accident." I put my fork down. "I don't have a daughter. She told us to call you, and she keeps asking for you by name. I don't know why, but I got in my car and drove straight there." At the hospital, a social worker stopped me in the hallway. She was hit by a car, broken ribs, a fractured wrist, a bad concussion. I started to tell her I'd never met this girl, but she put her hand up. "She woke up asking for you and she hasn't stopped. Whoever you are, she needs someone right now, because her parents aren't here." I walked in, and she looked so small in that big hospital bed, her face bruised and one arm in a cast. She reached for me with her good hand. "Dad, you came." I sat down next to her and she smiled up at me. "How's Peanut doing?" I went completely still, because how did this random girl know my dog's name? I sat until she fell asleep, then picked up her phone from the table. She had no texts, no missed calls, one contact saved as my hero, and the number was mine. The photos were an empty fridge and a selfie she'd taken alone in an apartment with no furniture. I was the only name in this kid's phone. I found a nurse and asked if anyone had heard from her parents. They said they're not coming back from their cruise. She's stable and someone's already there. Someone was me. I set the phone down and sat in the chair by her bed all night. When she woke up and found me still in the chair, she started crying. "I know you're not my dad." For a second I couldn't say anything, so I just let her talk. "I found your videos, the ones about getting through hard times, and I watched everyone because you were the only thing that helped when home got bad." She picked at the frayed edge of her cast, still not looking at me. "When they asked who to call, you were the only number I wanted. You can go. I know this isn't your problem. I thought about the empty fridge, the bare apartment, and the parents who wouldn't come home from their cruise. I pulled my chair right up to the bed and took her good hand. I'm not going anywhere. That afternoon, I told the social worker I wanted to report the neglect and start the paperwork to foster her. 6 weeks later, she was unpacking boxes in her new room. Her parents didn't fight the paperwork. Peanut kept stealing socks out of the box, and she kept chasing him around the room, laughing. Every day for 6 months, I put my spare change into the homeless man's cup on my way to work. He reminded me of my dad who passed away, so I did what I could to help him. We never spoke a word, but he'd always smile when he saw me, just to give him his change. But one day, as I approached him, he smiled at me, and when I reached into my pocket, I realized I had no change left. I panicked and started digging through my wallet. No change, just an old scratch card lottery ticket I forgot to use. I put it in his cup and told him, "I'm sorry, this is all I have today. Maybe you'll win something." I walked away feeling like a failure. It was the first time I had no change for him, and when I came home, an eviction notice was taped to my door. I had 14 days to get out. I went inside and packed all my things with tears in my eyes. I spent the next 6 months bouncing between cheap motels and couch surfing, trying to find work. But eventually, I ended up on the same corner as the homeless man used to be, except this time, he was no longer there. I put my head in my hands, looking at my empty cup and listening to my stomach rumble. I'd never felt so devastated. But then I felt someone sit next to me. I looked up, and it was the same homeless man, but his coat was different, and his beard was shaved. He smiled and held out an envelope. I wiped my tears and opened it, and my jaw dropped. A check for $40,000 stared me in the face. I looked at the man stunned, my hands shaking, and that's when he said his first ever words to me. "I won $80,000 with the ticket you gave me. I waited here every day to give you your half. You never came, but I never lost hope that I'd see you again." I felt so thankful, staring at the check in my hand. He stood up and stretched his hand out to me. "Now let's go. Come stay at mine until you're on your feet." I took his hand. In drama class, our teacher forced us to play the divider game, and the outcome was the craziest thing in school history. The teacher explained the rules. 2 people sit across from each other with a divider between them. Round 1, you say what item you have. Round 2, you prove it. Round 3, you demonstrate it. But remember, it's an acting game. Your job is to figure out if they're telling the truth or acting. The quietest kid in the back immediately raised his hand to play. We were all shook because he never spoke. He walked up, grabbed something out of his backpack, and sat behind the divider. The teacher smiled. "What do you have?" He looked at her. "I have a gun." The kid across from him looked terrified. He quickly said, "I have scissors." He proved it by snipping something behind the divider. The teacher turned back to the quiet kid. "Your turn. Prove you have a gun without showing it." Her bag ready to run. The teacher laughed nervously. "Is that from the prop closet?" "No, I brought it from home." The teacher looked scared. "Okay, round 3. Demonstrate what it does." Everyone flinched. He held it up above the divider. An actual gun. He pointed at the wall. The whole class went behind their desks, screaming. The teacher put her hands up. "The game is over. Put that down. Now." He shook his head. Round 3. Everyone else had to demonstrate. "What do guns do?" She shook her head. He put his finger on the trigger. "It's your game. Say it." Kids started to cry. The teacher was shaking. Then she said, "Shoot it." I closed my eyes thinking I was going to die. I heard a loud bang. The teacher dropped to the floor. Kids were screaming, saying they didn't deserve to die. But then I felt something soft landing on my face. I thought it was blood and touched it. But when I opened my eyes, I saw confetti everywhere. Confetti came out of the gun. The teacher looked at him with awe. He took a bow. "You said it was an acting game. Now does anyone have a recording so I can send it to Netflix?" The quietest kid in our class turned out to be the best actor in our drama class. I was walking back to my desk when I felt the crunch under my shoe. I lifted my foot, and a cockroach was smeared into the carpet. My coworker came around the corner with his coffee, dropped the cup, and was on his knees in the smear screaming, "Larry! That's Larry!" I put my hands up. "Calm down, man. It's just a cockroach." His head whipped up at me while he scooped pieces into his palms. "It's not just a cockroach. That was Larry. He was my best friend for 3 years. I fed him crumbs from my sandwich every day. I named him after my grandfather." I raised my hands high.
Auto roll.